Communication. It's an extremely important tool. On average, a single person will speak about 16,000 words per day. Yet the average novel contains 80,000 to 100,000 words. So given that the average lifespan of a human is about 78.4 years, this means that if a person were to write down every single thing that they had ever spoken in their entire lifetime, it would approximate about 5,043 novels. This is why communication matters. We speak a lot to other people, and it affects them and ourselves in powerful ways. In fact, one article by Psychology Today states that in communication, we develop, create, maintain, and alter our relationships. In other words, communication shapes who we are. When starting this class, there were two main things that I wanted to improve: confidence and mindful listening. Both are extremely useful tools in the world of communication. Confidence plays many parts in improving relationships, and one of the reasons for that is that confidence builds trust. Now, technically speaking, this is a statement that is much more applicable to the workspace, but in some degree, it works in personal relationships as well. If you consider it, in the workplace, merely having the confidence to shake someone's hand firmly instills trust. Now, it's important to note here that confidence is not pride. Those are two very different things. But it does mean ensuring others that you will get the job done. And if you succeed in completing that task, whatever it may be, people will naturally trust you more. Another interesting area to note is the fact that confidence can even resolve issues. Sometimes, when someone lacks confidence, they might avoid dealing with certain issues that are complex and confusing. Those who have confidence can easily express and deal with situations in a quick and non-aggressive manner. A confident person can assess a situation and solve it without second-guessing themselves. And once more, this is not a sense of pride, this is a sense of decisiveness. This idea of conflicts being resolved with confidence relates back to conflict management. One of the key aspects to conflict management is taking responsibility. Many times, issues arise in relationships where both parties refuse to take responsibility. In essence, it shows a lack of confidence, and honestly, a lack of true integrity. Confident people know the responsibility to take accountability for their actions, even if it's not entirely their fault. It's incredible how far just taking responsibility and apologizing can go in fixing a relationship. One final example of how important confidence is setting boundaries. This was a topic that was examined thoroughly throughout this class. In essence, setting boundaries has to do with saying no to things. Now, as an example, say someone has some friends and they go out and do something maybe they shouldn't do. Now, this person has a clear conviction on the matter. However, because they lack confidence, they're afraid to state their own opinions in this matter. So they just decide to be quiet, step over their own boundaries, and give in to peer pressure. Now, if that very same person had confidence, they would be able to clearly state their convictions and avoid the matter altogether. Now, these briefly showcase the importance of confidence without going into great depth. But how can one build confidence? Well, to understand how to build confidence, we must first look at where confidence stems from. Science suggests that the part of the brain that is responsible for maintaining confidence is the prefrontal cortex. This very same article states, when you feel confident, your prefrontal cortex is firing in sync with other brain regions, especially the limbic system, which manages emotions. Together, they create a sense of control, clarity, and motivation. Now, that's great and all, but what are some practical ways to build confidence? One super simple method is to improve nonverbal communication. This involves making eye contact, having an upright posture, and listening to others when they're speaking to you. Of course, there are many other nonverbal communication techniques that you can use, but these are some of the most common ones. Though it may seem small, making eye contact is a perfect stepping stone to building confidence in larger areas. When you make eye contact with others, it not only builds confidence, but it also shows the other person that you're listening to them. In this case, there is really no reason not to work on improving it. One fantastic technique that's really helped me personally is doing one small thing out of my comfort zone almost every day. It doesn't have to be anything big, at least not right off the bat. You just need to focus on your goals and try to improve on them. Now there's the topic of mindful listening. Mindful listening also plays an extremely important role in developing professional relationships as well as personal relationships. Frequently, disputes arise amongst people when they feel like they're not being listened to or that they're being ignored. Simple things such as being distracted by a smartphone can be really frustrating to others when they think you're not listening, especially if it's done frequently enough. Thus, listening not only lets the other person know that you actually care about what they're saying, but it can also improve workflow. For example, if someone isn't listening attentively during collaborative projects, they then miss the memo and make mistakes, which then leads to the company having to pay for something or losing time or whatever it may be. However, the whole issue could have been avoided if they had just listened closely to the instructions. Also, one other area, and let's just face it, some people need to vent and express their emotions to other people. And when those other people are too distracted by their smartphones or their work, it really doesn't help the situation out. Most often in situations like this, people don't really want your response, they just want you to listen. And doing so can help quite substantially in relationships or friendships. The simplest way to build attentive listening skills is to remove all distractions. This means when someone is addressing you, set down the phone, because in all honesty, it feels like 90% of the time, it's this thing that's causing the distractions. Of course, if something else is a distraction, remove it. Whether it's work, hobbies, or something else entirely, just set it down for 5 minutes. Unless you're on an extreme deadline, it's not going to be the end of the world. Now, of course, this also ties back to nonverbal communication, because when you set the phone down, make a point to make eye contact, sit upright, and show that you're listening. That is nonverbal communication. In fact, some studies have even shown that nonverbal communication is more important than strictly word-based communication. Now, don't get me wrong, word-based communication definitely has its place, and it's super useful. But one study says what we say is only one layer of communicating, but nonverbal cues add depth and significance to our back and forth. In fact, research suggests that less than 10% of our communication is strictly word-based. This is why there needs to be an emphasis on improving nonverbal communication. It's oftentimes a very overlooked aspect in our society today. One final way that you can show you're listening is by asking questions related to the topics the person is talking about. And I mean, sure, you can always nod in confirmation as the other person is talking, but we do this subconsciously, whether we're thinking about it or not. So to show whether or not you're truly listening, ask questions that are tailored to their specific situations. So in conclusion, communication is important, and the way you communicate with others is also important. Having the confidence to shake someone's hand firmly and to complete tasks without second guessing yourself can build trust between people. And taking the time to eliminate all distractions when listening to others can really help them feel like you're actually listening and that you actually care. Because it's frustrating when you're talking to someone and it seems like they simply don't care. So just don't be that person. And I must admit, throughout this course, my confidence and listening abilities have improved drastically. Before this class, I found it difficult to even branch out and speak to new people. Going forward, I plan to continue pushing myself and to try new things out of my comfort zone. Such things as attending events I wouldn't normally attend, or just reaching out to new people whom I haven't met. There is an almost near infinite amount of possibilities and opportunities to learn from. But for now, that's all I have for this video. Thank you for your time, and God bless.